detailed, precise, and informed.
That's DPI.
To our final segment of the day, it is the Holy Roller.
This is an old one, but it's a rule that almost always gets put in effect in close game scenarios. Well, oftentimes gets close scenarios. Zach, you want to explain this and show the clip of what we're about to watch from this barely colorized film?
I believe it was a fourth down late in a game between the Raiders and the Chargers. And Ken Stabler, or I think this is Ken Stabler. It makes sense because he's the lefty. Ends up just throwing. It's hard to see, so I might slow it down for you. But he throws this underhand, kind of rolls it almost, hence the name. I'm going to slow this down just slightly so that we can see all what we're looking at. But he rolls this underhand, and it goes all the way down to the end zone where tight end Dave Casper is going to pick it up. I think it ends up getting squirted around a little bit. That one's almost thrown forward by number 40 there. Intentionally or not, you can argue. But Dave Casper is going to end up picking this up in the end zone in what would be the game-winning touchdown. And it was fairly controversial after the fact, as many game-winning crazy plays are, like, going back to Franco Harris's immaculate reception, a lot of controversy surrounding that. But it ended up resulting in a rule called the Holy Roller Rule. And I'll pass it to Tyler to explain what that rule is and what it restricts about that particular play.
Yeah. So again, if you're new to this segment, our off-season segment, since there's not current football to break down, is we are doing calls that changed the rules. So this was ruled a touchdown because there was a fumble that resulted in the Raiders recovering in the end zone. That's a touchdown. Afterwards, they made a rule stating that if there is a fumble inside the 2-minute warning, that's key there because this is fourth down. Actually, I think we're also on fourth down.
Yes.
Any fourth down or any fumble inside the 2-minute warning. If the ball is fumbled, it can only be advanced by the person who fumbled the ball. If it is not recovered by the one who fumbled the ball and it is picked up, it is returned. The play is dead and it is returned to the spot of the fumble.
Yeah, and you are correct. If a player fumbles after the 2-minute warning in a half or overtime or on fourth down at any time during the game, only the fumbling player can advance the ball, right? And so that would obviously make null and void the Holy Roller because Ken Stabler would have been the one who had to recover it, not Dave Casper. Worth noting that John Madden was the head coach. John Madden was the head coach for the Raiders and the main beneficiary of the Holy Roller play. So that's kind of one of our biggest throwback calls that we've ever done. I think it's the second oldest thing we've discussed on the podcast. I don't know if you can name the first oldest thing, Tyler.
The first oldest thing?
Older than 1978.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is if we had discussed like a stat and used the phrase since the merger, referring to the 1970 merger, but I am unaware of something older.
I was mostly referring to our most anticipated game segment where we covered the 1967 Baltimore Colts season, where they played a game, essentially a playoff win-in scenario in the regular season. That is the oldest NFL moment that I think we've covered on the team. So this would be one of the older ones for sure.
It is. Now, this rule is important, though, not just because, it changed a little nuanced rule, but if you're ever watching a game and the ref says, hey, it was fumbled, but we're returning the ball to where it was fumbled, this is the Holy Roller rule. Even if it's a legitimate fumble that was not planned, if it's fourth down or inside the 2-minute warning, it has to go back to the spot of the fumble unless the fumbler is the one to pick it up. Then they can advance it.
Yeah, I mean, it even cost the Chargers a late touchdown in a Chargers-Raiders game in 2020, way beyond almost 50 years after that game, when Justin Herbert was trying to QB sneak, lost the ball, and it was recovered by a fullback in the end zone. But since it was inside 2 minutes, he was not able to advance it. Justin Herbert would then score on a sneak the very next play, so it was not talked about as big as the Holy Roller. But, I'm sure that you will pay attention this year. I guarantee you that it will happen at least once in a game this season in which a team fumbles on fourth down and is not allowed to advance it besides the fumbling player.
The more you know. The Raiders have always been up to no good. The Raiders have always been a bunch of cheaters.
Yeah, you would say that. But
Although I guess they didn't cheat at the time. That it was a legal play at the time. But
that's
afterwards,
true.
the NFL said, no, you can't do that.
It was kind of like when the Chiefs employed a very tall individual to try to swat balls out of the field goal posts back before that was banned. But that one's even less consequential than the Holy Roller. But that is all we have for you today. If you want a specific call, if you love this segment, make sure you throw down in the comments like, hey, I would love to hear you call this rule out, or this play. And if we have not covered it, we will certainly make sure that we get it covered this offseason because we're trying to get through all of the calls that changed the game. But thank you guys.
We will listen to our comments. Earlier this year, we talked about the Burt Emanuel rule. That was a fan suggestion. If you know a rule, let us know, and we'll cover it.
Yeah. That being said, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment down below, and we will catch you guys for our final week of draft coverage next week.
Appreciate you guys.